do not wish to be recorded, please let us know at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'll call the meeting to order tonight at 6:02 p.m. You know, please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all for being here this evening. I will begin tonight with a board recognition, and I'd like to start us off and invite Colton Crump and Dana Whitney to the podium. So tonight we are recognizing one of the remarkable actions of one of our students who demonstrated exceptional courage and quick thinking in an emergency situation. Colton Crump, an Ording Middle School 6th grade student, found himself faced with a critical situation when his grandfather was suffering from a heart attack. Colton promptly called 911 and provided the necessary information to the emergency dispatcher, ensuring that his grandfather not only received the timely medical attention that ultimately saved his life. Colton's quick action and calm demeanor, very calmer now, in the face of such a harrowing event are a testament to his character and maturity beyond his years. His bravery and readiness to act in the face of adversity serve as an inspiration to us all. So Colton, we wanted to congratulate you and recognize you, and we're so grateful for everything you've done. I have on that side. Well, we have a certificate here for you. And we also have a gift recognizing your awesomeness. And we'd love to get a picture with you, your grandfather, and more, if that's okay. Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and stand over here. This is our wall of fame.
Would our emergency responders love to join us in the picture and help honor Colton and become our schools? Come on over.
After we do photo, let's.
Two sets of photos. All right. Two sets.
Okay, and then with the, okay, just come to the phone. Okay. Yes. We want to give you some time to come in.
I mean, it was all right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, ready?
Thank you, guys.
Well, you're not out of the hot seat yet. You're not out of the hot seat yet. Thank you all for having us here tonight, for letting us come, and we don't get to see a lot of this at the end portion of things, right? We see the tragic things happen in front of us, and then we go to the hospital, and we don't, very rarely do we get to know what happens to the the outcome. So this type of stuff here is this is better than cookies, this is better than candy, this is the stuff that matters to us, right? So congratulations to you, first off. I've been, my name's Brent Krasinski, by the way, sorry. I'm an original Central Pierce kid. We moved down here with the city of Boarding with those fine folks in the back there that opened us with open arms. So we're super excited to be down here and serving the citizens of Boarding now too. So thank you for that. I've been involved in 2 of these before. The last little gentleman I did was in 4th grade, I think. He was at Meeker Elementary. Same situation. This time it was his mom. His mom went into sudden cardiac arrest, and same thing. Picked up the phone without even thinking, called 911, talked to the dispatcher, and held the phone up to his dad's ear while his dad did CPR on his mom. So for you to do what you did at your age is huge, right? What grade are you in? And unfortunately, none of us were there, right? We weren't on the call, so I don't know too much of the details, right? I do know that Grandpa's here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that to me, right, when we go on car wrecks or anything that we go on, all that stuff can be replaced. When we go on house fires, things can be replaced. We can't. Right? And you did that. We need to be very proud. Right? So we have a little certificate for you. It's a certificate of excellence for Fulton. And it's from Central Pierce, Boarding Valley, the City of Boarding Police, and South Sound 911. So, congratulations, young man. Grandma! All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
May I say one thing?
Yes, please.
You know, the way things are right now with our world and such, it doesn't matter right here. If you're Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. I want to thank these guys back here very much for everything you've done. Thank you.
If I could say something,
I don't know if you guys were aware that he was only at the hospital for 5 minutes at rest. So there was a lot of, if we had waited any longer, I wasn't home, unfortunately, I was out at dinner with friends. But he's gone on and had a triple bypass. That was a month ago. He's doing well. But little Colton, he did a great job. And thank you guys.
It's a very brave thing for that age. I have a 5th grader and she refuses to call 911 and I work. So for him to not even hesitate to call and do that is huge. It's huge. And that, to us, that means that
Well, that's time,
our prevention and education division, along with us, are doing our job in telling people about CPR and get trained, and close your door when you go to sleep at night so if you have a fire. I mean, all these things are starting to come full circle for us, so it's real cool.
And you guys do an awesome job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
We're just all the people that like doing what we do. Right?
Yeah.
You're a better man than me.
Good job. Come to stage 3 time. Anytime. I like the back. He's the dog. So thank you guys again for letting us come tonight.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
for coming.
I had no idea.
All right.
Yeah.
We have a few more things to celebrate, so I will turn it over to Laura.
I'm just going to do a quick shout out. The Orion High School students went on a field trip to the Northwest Carpenters Union Training Facility for career exploration. It's a big hot button for me personally. I love the CTE career paths that are offered for kids. So I'm glad they have that opportunity to do that. They learned about the union, what it has to offer, and toured the grounds. And thank you to Northwest Carpenters instructor Dustin Gregory, who helped coordinate the event for our students. So that's an awesome experience for our high school students to get to go and learn a little bit more in depth about union opportunities.
I just want to say shout out to the Orlean High School Sports Medicine Club. Held a blood drive for the spring break. 41 units were collected from this event, and because 1 pint of blood can save 3 lives, the OHS blood drive event could potentially save over 80 lives. That's awesome.
I do want to thank all of our librarians that in the time history know what we do with that. Every building has librarians that do technology, that pick up books, that show kids books that do some different decoding at the elementary level and comprehension. And so just big thank you to all of the librarians that have done this for us.
I'll mention that our Orting Elementary students and our PTR Tarpon Ridge Elementary students have been working hard to earn their Mountaineer tickets and Uber Flat tickets. Some of the things the students can earn the tickets for are based on academic excellence, showing kindness to others, and being helpful. So the students have enjoyed Spirit Weeks and McDonald's lunch with their principal, which sounds really cool. And so we just want to recognize their efforts and encourage them to keep earning those Uber Cat tickets and Mountaineer tickets and keep up the good work.
I wanted to say too, I think Melissa that what Gregory is a whole as past student. Yeah, I think exactly. So we do, I think he's doing that. That's awesome.
I also want to mention all 4 of our schools held their parent-teacher conferences just before spring break. And so I want to thank our teachers, staff, and principals that planned the event, and our parents and guardians who took the time out of their day to check in on their students' academic progress. That's an important meeting that happens a couple times a year, and we had a pretty strong turnout. I saw full parking lots. So thanks to everyone. Those are late nights for our teachers and staff and families too.
And I'm going to say a shout out to Orlean Middle School, Orlean High School, and Daffodil, Michaela, Daffodil Princess. That's a busy day that's going on, and they did an awesome job. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I would echo that. I had a front row seat on the side of the road for Big J's, and all of our groups. Michaela looked beautiful representing us as our Daffodil Princess, and the band, everybody was just on point, sharp and on point, and a lot of fun to watch. So very happy with all these two proposals. Great, so lots to celebrate in district, that's for sure.
That concludes the funnest part of our evening, which is recognition now to the business, which is a great cue for our emergency responders guests. If you'd like to exit, we'll just take a moment. We really appreciate you here. Mr. Coleman, thank you again for everything that you did. We always appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
When it starts getting serious is when we,
Thank you again.
So much.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Congratulations, buddy. Nice work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys you don't get left out.
Take care. Thank you for coming.
Take care.
I would be the first person to freak out.
We don't get to sit at a pretty table.
That's right.
We're all good. We're shop liver.
He would have had to go in front of the camera. He's pretty shy.
Yeah, he seemed pretty sure.
I didn't realize that was why he was here.
He gets to.
It's just so exciting.
He's got his own little section.
Miss Mary was thinking Mr. Polly was here for staff comments, but no.
Everybody left and I'm just here by myself. We're back, Polly, we're back here. Supporting you.
Alright, so, it doesn't appear that there's any community or staff comments this evening, at this time. So I will turn it over to Superintendent Hatfield.
Thank you very much. First thing I'd like to share a little bit about is our upcoming Cultural Unity Fair, Thursday, May 2nd. Never before, to my knowledge, has the Orange School District been able to partner with the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. So at this cultural celebration, we plan to feature food, song, and dance from many cultures represented around the community. The Puyallup Tribe, we don't know if it's song or dance yet, but it's confirmed that we will have representatives here that night. We will have several dances performed and songs by our local students. And our Career Technical Education students are making food dishes from around the world. Many of those cultures represented here locally. So it's a wonderful evening, free of charge. All are invited, and a great way just to come together, celebrate one another, and spend time in celebration. Community service. The last time we were here, we talked about Guadalajara that happened that very same day. I didn't have pictures, but there is our high school students picking up 10 bags of trash. That was one way they wanted to get back to the local community while doing the emergency drill, and they made it, I'm proud to say, on time and back, and did their civic duty on the way. So that was really cool. Thinking about more community connection, high school students helped to host a spring bazaar. Some of the funds went to our local soldiers' homes, so they helped create little gift bags and goodies. There you will see a full gymnasium. We had students, or we had staff, both combined to sell goods and raise money for clubs, and lots of community vendors as well. Very well attended, awesome food carts. Lumpia and Subi was on point out front. I can personally attest, and I will say we signed up for Smith Brothers at the bazaar, and that milk is phenomenal. It wasn't just a line, it's really, really good. So now we got the weekly delivery as a result of the bazaar, which is cool. Getting that community connection also as well, and the core content connection. We have salmon release going, so those salmon were raised at Orion High School and reared and released into the Carbon River. And I don't have a picture of it. Those pictures were taken by Ian Squires. So they made this long PVC tube that they were up in the bank and funneled down the tube and kind of washed down and popped them into the river. And it was a really cool event and experience for those kids to get back. Daffodil Parade, wanted to include a few pictures. I'm sure Princess Michaela will share a few of the nuggets, but when we think about our connection with the community and the interaction, not only does she get back from her position and help to mentor and coach others, but many of our performing arts students get to share their skills and help to build that connection and collaboration in our community. Elevating student voice, one of our focus for Library Month, you mentioned that in celebration, is to get student voice. And just this one, I thought, well, many of them are worthy of celebration. But the way she is tapping into that culture of dignity, I thought it was a wonderful representation of how many of these ideas come together. So when you think about a dignified school system, it doesn't matter who you are, you have value, you have merit, and you want the reason why she chose Wonder and shared that publicly, I thought was powerful. And just reaffirms why we have to continue to elevate student voice. Because if you don't ask and if you don't have the story, you don't know the background. And so my compliments to Ms. Brady for going out and finding students, giving those stories and elevating them. In social media, to celebrate all of our staff, there's Director Madigan serving every one of our employees, classified, certificated, non-represented, administrative. We had hundreds of people show up in the rain to get some delicious barbecue as a way to say thank you. What we have done a little bit differently, so we do have a classified, certificated staff celebration week, but the barbecue will bring everyone together. And it's just a fun way to celebrate all of our employees, whether you're unionized or not. We just had a great time serving and celebrating their contributions. Thinking about the idea of dignity, you heard about this at the board work session. We now have over 6,000 drops connected at PTR, and so the walls are full and spreading. So the students are doing amazing things, and that recognition is just continuing at a clip. And then that's how you embed some of the, not only the recognition of the positive things they're doing, but values that we want to instill that relate to that idea and concept around dignity. So that's a hats off to Kindness Focus that just happened a couple of weeks ago right before the break.
That's my granddaughter, I'm gonna check her.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That wasn't a plan. I didn't know that, but that is super cool. Other celebrations, so we had amazing performances with our, choir, band, music. We'll talk about drumline in a moment, but middle school choir, third year in a row, I believe, was selected to perform the Seattle Mariners. So we're putting that out to the local community for families, friends, and supporters, anyone that would like to come out and see our students. Sounded amazing at the concert. It was phenomenal, and no doubt about why they were selected again to help represent. There's a few pictures of the performing arts. Director Nilo can speak to that. You just never seen the thing that we had. Full houses all the way around. I kid you not, that's the middle school component. I have never seen a band concert at a middle level that fully attended and that many students participating. It just filled the floor. Phenomenal, and choir and band, again, both middle school, high school, sounded phenomenal. Thought I'd put this in there. We love to recognize student accomplishments. The Knowledge Bowl team beat the two-time defending state Knowledge Bowl champions, had the highest turnout that they've ever had, came away with a third-place trophy. I'd love to see the way they throttled the staff and the staff versus student knowledge. Well, I'd love to say we had a hand in that. I don't think we did. They did a tremendously good job, so hats off to them. And I think this is tantamount to winning the state competition, because never before have we won the Lincoln Invitational from the drumline perspective. And to take first place is absolutely incredible. It's the best of the best. It's a very hard competition to win, and so hats off to them. And they are hosting their own drumline competition this weekend, so that information's put out on social media, so local communities invited to come attend and celebrate that competition, which is really cool. So that concludes my report. Just some awesome things that are happening in the last month. And happy to answer any questions if you have. Hopefully I didn't steal your thunder. I might have stolen a couple things.
Next year we start with the flip flop.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Michaela, we'll turn over to our student board representative, approaching her last days with us.
I know, it's very sad that I have to talk So, the preface, I'm really bad with dates. So, I will tell you the events coming up, not quite sure when. As for community involvement, the high school is doing a lot to kind of like really reach down to our younger students. So we have our Little Scare coming up, which is one of the biggest things that we do all year. So we go over to OES and we have our sports teams and clubs put together a lot to that can get each one of the students to involve in during their recess time. We Loved it in the past. Last year it was super hot, but almost every student came back in the summer. So hopefully not this year, but it's always amazing. It's super fun to interact with those students, especially in those really fun, childish games that we all know and love. We have a student that is putting on a line dancing class for the elementary students. I want to say during the culture kind of thing. I'm not quite sure, so it's really cool to see like that kind of style brought over, and I think it's even more cool that a student's teaching it. I think she's a sophomore, so that's really cool. Now it's to Ramborn. We have the Princess Tea coming up for Daffodil in May. So and little kids will come see a whole bunch of princesses and talk to us and have tea with us. Super fun. So yeah, and then I guess I'll talk about the parade. The Daffodil Parade is one of my favorite things to go to almost every year, whether I'm in it or not. This year was a very different experience because I've never actually experienced all 3 parades. And I do have to say Ording does it the best, and all 23 princesses said so. So I guess applaud to Ording. I love to see our town come together like that. See all those people, and you know, it made me feel special as your guys' princess to just like be in front of my community and be like, yeah, this is Ording, you know, and like that was really special to me. I didn't do much, obviously, I was sitting on the float waving, but I do have to also applaud like the bands and stuff like that. I mean, they marched through 4 parades, and marching is not easy. So, I mean, and one of my favorite moments was when I got to go back and walk with my band. So, that was really special to me, is just to be a part of my school, and every princess did that. And so it was really cool to like see them all come back around and walk with their bands to finish up the parade. So it's really important. It was also just amazing to interact with the little kids of my community as well. I mean, I walked past like 4 of them, and they just all thought I was the most amazing thing. And I took so many pictures. It's not even funny, but it really was a surreal moment. And so I think that you guys should think about how amazing our Daffodil Parade really is. In comparison to the other 4 towns, or the other 3 towns that put it on, Ording did a really good job. So. I really hope it I really did have to do that all day. I was like, no guys, wait till you get to Ording. Wait till you get to Ording. And so I was like, please, everyone should. I was like, it's going to be really awkward and sad. But no, Ording does it the best. So, yeah.
I've always been to the Ording version.
I know, and
I've
that's
never been to
me
the
too.
other towns.
And so I always just thought, oh, well, everyone does it. And like, no, they don't. Ording it's something special. It really is. It really is. And not to say that like summer isn't, or like they don't put on an amazing parade as well. It's a different feel when you have so much of the community there. And so many people wanting to see the parade and all the floats and all the bands and all that kind of stuff. I also really do think that it was really cool to see the Ording float as well, because we put on our own float, and to see all of the princess candidates as well on there. I think it really, puts a special significance to the girls that like still worked hard and just, didn't get the title, because they still put in equally as amount of effort, and I think it was really cool to like see them have that moment as well, So, I don't know. I like the Daffodil Parade.
That's awesome.
So,
I like the second pass.
oh yes.
And everybody's like, what are they doing? They're coming back. And I'm like, they are. That's how it's done.
I went to the parade, I think, 3 times. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because I just kept walking back with 3 bands, and I was just like, it was great. It was great. And no one cared. Because they were just like, oh, princess! I was like, yeah. They probably got sick and tired of me at the end of it, but I was blowing it up, so.
It's fun. I love it.
If you happen to remember, no pressure, but could you send me the date for that Princess Tea?
Of
I
course.
would love to bring my granddaughter.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
It's in my schedule, so I can
That would be awesome.
I'm pretty sure it's a bit, but I will double check.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Financial report. That's all, no questions or anything that needs to
She does a great job.
I was gonna say, we have questions for the director.
Yes.
We have, yes, yes.
Marcy's done a good job of
Yes.
explaining things.
She did.
So
1 + 1 always equals 2.
there's no fuzzy math.
There's no fuzzy math. Everything's got a reason. Wonderful, thank you. And next, we have a board memo prepared by Debbie Christensen. No action needed on this, so just a report on sexual harassment and our policy there. And then next, we have Director Rab presenting on the Washington School Improvement Framework.
So I presented a memo for your inspection and took great pains to try to make sure that it made sense. So this will just kind of give us an opportunity to see if what I wrote actually did make sense. So just give me a few minutes to do that, because it got really convoluted. The WSIF cycle of identification is a 3-year cycle. It started in 2018, and had it gone normal, it would have been 2018 to 21, 21 to 24, 24 to 27. But COVID messed everything up, and it went 18 to 23, 23 to 25, 24 to 27. So there's an overlap. So we've got 2 cycles that are overlapping each other. So as it turns out for us, we had OMS and PTR identified last year in cycle 2. That was just to be a 2-year cycle. So they're still in that cycle until the end of next year. They were also re-identified in cycle 3 that happened just this last spring. But the good news is, the re-identification of them in this cycle, they had improved from the previous identification. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify that a little bit. So they're in an overlap situation. They've been identified in cycle 2 and cycle 3, but in cycle 3 their identification is much lower, to the point that they still have to do a needs assessment and a school improvement plan, which is what we do typically with our schools, but all that paperwork stays in-house. We don't have to submit anything to OSPI. The district has to do an accountability plan, which is what we did last year. We submit that through a survey. It's great, no problem. It doesn't come with expectations beyond that, nor does it come with funding to do any of those expectations. Although PTR, because they're still in cycle 2, they are eligible for continued funding while they're in cycle 2, which Principal Mesa might take them up on that. If she does take them up on that, then she kicks back into that thing where she's got to do the school improvement plan, submit it, do the mid-year progress report, and then the end of the year report. So she has more paperwork, but she likes the money and she uses it well. So she might dive into that under cycle 2. The great news is,
Quick question.
yes, please.
What would that money be used for?
Professional learning probably, because so what she did this year. So what we had this year was, the focus was on English language learner professional learning. We also had the opportunity partway through the year to get an additional $5,000. So we submitted for that, we got it. Then we got permission to add mathematics into the professional development focus. So she's taking a crew of people down to Arizona in the first week of July to do a particular math training that I'm also trying to look at some of my title money to see that we can take more teachers from PTR as well as teachers from OES. So when I come back to you next month with potential curriculum adoption, it'll be more focused on how we're going to teach the curriculum, how we're going to teach mathematics, not just teach the curriculum is what I meant to say on that. So she's using that money to include for mathematics professional development. So I can see her head spinning in that direction to get a little bit more money to kind of keep that professional learning in mathematics going.
Okay. So that decision's not been made yet, but what
She hasn't
needs to
made it
be
yet.
considered?
I'll go back to her but she's eligible for it.
Okay, thank you.
What was really exciting was they were identified for multi-language learners, And not only did they get out of that category, but they doubled their rating. I mean, they're not even close at this setting. And where they were identified in cycle 3 was students with disabilities. But they're right at, there's 2 thresholds. There's a Title I threshold and there's an all schools threshold. Both PTR and OMS are Title I schools, so they have to qualify in both those areas. The Title I threshold is way lower, so it doesn't take much to get identified in that. Well, they weren't even at the Title I. They were at the all schools threshold, and they were at the 2.25. A quarter of a percentage higher, and they wouldn't even be identified in cycle 3. So they're doing really well on that. OMS was identified in 3 areas: Black, African American, ELL, and students with disability. They got out of the woods with students with disability by a long shot. They had great improvement with that as well. But they stayed static on Black African Americans, and they are at about the Title I threshold for students with disability. So that's going to be some very specific work that they need to look at. The Black African American issue is something that we should be able to look at kid by kid and really make some specific impact on that. The students with disabilities will be a little bit more, it's much more of a broad range area. So I wrote out a bunch of notes just so that I would make sure that I would follow, but actually I think I've covered everything. Did that make sense? Yeah, you started to shake your head, no.
No, I was looking.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking left and right. I'm reading the audience.
He's looking at you guys going, that makes sense to you guys? So we just wanted to give you that update that even though there was identification in cycle 3, it's really a celebration. It really is. Because there was improvement for both schools, and they're really out of the depth of the woods that they were in before. And so if we continue to do the work that we're doing, we believe that that'll help. They can't take their foot off the gas yet, but it's much better. It's growth. It's growth.
What do they think has helped so much to make that big improvement in the disabilities? I was just wondering, do they have any, is it a different curriculum they used, or?
Where they made their biggest gain was in English language learners.
Okay.
And so that was really the focus of PTR's professional development all year. And so they did the GLAD training. They had trainers come in and do the GLAD training. And there you can see that, elements of that in every single classroom. And so the students with disabilities, we have a really, really great partner in crime over there that's, as I'm talking about curriculum, she's always pressing me and going, well, did you order enough for resource? Did you order? I'm like, oh, thank you for that. I didn't have that question before. That's a really good question, yes. So we'll figure that out. We'll get our heads together and figure that out.
And I know too that they did a little bit more inclusion, so I wonder if they mixed them up in groups as they were doing that.
Yeah, the push-in model.
I would probably say a couple things, Director Tracy. One is who was most negatively impacted by the pandemic, MLL students in particular, from an absence rate. So when we looked at that 2022 data, it was very, very low. And I think the pandemic absolutely played a role. But then what is helping to turn that around, it's absolutely getting consistent in core, not only with what's happening in core, but daily targeted intervention where the pairs, the teachers are working to regroup and flexibly support students with where their specific needs. And you've heard many of the strategies and have they built tiers, and if this doesn't work, we're going to try this. So implementing many of those factors simultaneously with getting kids back in school post-pandemic with daily rigorous core instruction, both really led to, I think, that growth that we're seeing. And part of what we showed you is, if you remember the data from the last time we were there, went all the way back to 2018.
Yeah.
This most recent cycle has 2019. Once we get this data back, that old data from 18-19 is washed. And so our average really should start to climb. So by the time this comes around again, we would predict with the growth we've been seeing that we're probably out of the woods for later down the road in that next cycle. But where we were unclear last month is, what does this all mean? And so thank you to Director Rapp for trying to unpack it and figure it out, because it is a little bit convoluted.
Yeah, and you don't always see that much of an improvement in disabilities.
They'll give an annual update to all of these identification periods. But the only ones that matter for action and support are the 3-year benchmark ones. So next year, we'll get an update of where our schools are at, but it's only for notification to the school districts. It doesn't have implications with OSPI until the one in spring of 2027. So,
Will it
Yes,
have
ma'am.
updated data? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This might sound really dumb, okay? I'm asking
I
a
doubt it.
clarifying question. It
I've heard
might.
your questions before, I doubt it. This will be a first for me if it is.
It might, okay. So, like, maybe I'm just confused on what the data is telling us to do, because maybe as I think of it, like with disabilities in general, if we are seeing a drop in disabilities, we know we need to change the curriculum towards them and teach them differently to help them grow based on, the disabilities that they have and all that kind of stuff. I know that they're sectioned off between like Black, African American, white, like all that kind of stuff, right? Different ethnicities. What is that telling us? Because you can't teach like them a different curriculum. So does that tell us that like we need to make them feel more welcome? Is that what it's telling us to do? I think I'm just kind of confused on like how we're going to end up raising the Black and African American bar. Because I mean, I love that we're all applying the disability bar coming up, but I think my concern now is like, well, what about the Black African American population? Because I mean, I walk the school, I know we don't have a huge population of that, so the fact that like it's so low, we can't move it up, like what are we doing to push that forward? Because you can't
Yeah.
change that curriculum for that.
I'll try to be as concise as possible. One of the first things that we wondered was, if you're not at school, you're not going to learn, is attendance an issue? Now we look at the data and we see that the attendance rate for our Black African American students is higher
Right,
than the attendance rate of our white students.
right,
But the ELA and Math SBA performance of our Black African American students is well below.
okay,
So that's really the place where we need to start and say, okay, why are they underperforming disproportionately to their white peers?
right,
And that's the question. And so that's what we have to dig into. We have to discover what that is. And data for that actually comes probably most commonly, as we've been talking about street data, is getting to know these kids individually and finding out what it is, what's working, what's not working. I know that when Superintendent Hassenbinger was principal at Orting High School, that's where he'd go with this, is he'd go and we would identify these specific kids.
right.
And we would find out what the problem is for these
Right.
specific kids, and that's what we lean into.
And
And that's what the identification is intended to do.
so what, and you might not have an answer for this, but like what would your plan be moving forward if it's not like an academic struggle they have, but it's a social struggle, or it's an emotional struggle, or what
Yeah.
are our like,
Yeah.
what are our
Yeah.
processes that we have for that? I mean, I know we could probably dive into like some type of mental health help for that, or, I mean, even in white students, I'm not just saying it happens for our predominantly Black students as well, but just like, I mean, there's a wider population of white kids in our school, so like, our scores are gonna go differently, but
Yeah.
I think that like that mental health and that like social side to it is
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest impacts. I highly doubt that it's mostly academic, especially if their attendance is up. I mean, they're attending classes, so it's what's going on inside those classes that they're experiencing. So I would wonder, because like I know you work with curriculums and stuff like that, and the academic side of it, but would there be any processes moving forward for that like social emotional side of it as well?
Yeah, so I didn't really hear a question in there, I heard a lot of solutions. So I can't do anything but nod my head.
Okay.
So, yes.
I guess my question was, would there be some type of implementation for the social emotional side of things?
Yeah,
if
because,
that's
and when you
maybe-
go into, when I talk about the street data piece about that, you're actually talking to the kids,
Okay,
right? And you're asking the kids, you're finding out, you're getting information from them.
okay,
And I totally agree with you that an academic result can be driven by a non-academic causation, right?
right.
And we have to make sure that we identify and eliminate if that's part of the problem. So you're
Okay.
exactly right on.
Okay.
You get it.
I know. I think it was one of those things where we were so happy about our disabled kids, and I'm happy about that. I
Yeah,
also
right.
want to see improvement in other areas as well. So I just
Yes.
wanted to know what our plan was for that.
Okay.
You hit the nail on the head. You start digging and start looking, and where there's intersectionality between homelessness or poverty or color, that's where you really see roots of marginalization start to go, and you start to unpack, do we have biases, are there limiting factors, were there conditions before school that they didn't have access to that we need to think about, is there social, emotional, and there's, even our instructional framework has 42 different indicators, and there's usually never one clear reason, but when you start to focus the team on inquiry and asking questions and peeling that onion back, and start to try things and intervene and see what works, and are they responding, are they not, and keep trying, when you get that kind of level of focus and understanding about what an individual needs, sooner or later you'll see something pop as a result, because everyone can learn. It doesn't matter if you have a handicapping condition, a different color, race, if you're impoverished, everybody can learn, so that's our fundamental predisposition. We just got to keep unpacking it until we see what works, and that's the idea of CORE and the board's responsibility in this work that we do strategically. Do we see the group moving up, or is it staying flat? If it's staying flat, we have to ask ourselves, well, clearly it's not working for some or all, so we got to keep coming back to that strategic work. So, short version, I don't ever see a clear, easy answer, and mostly I see when there's multiple risk factors, that means you need to start having multiple protective factors as well to try to shore up what that kid needs to make sure they're successful.
But it's an interesting job looking at everything to figure it out. It's going, you know.
And I really think you should consider a
Yes.
career in public education. Just 'cause, like, you could, the science thing and all that, maybe, but just,
I knew the last
keep
time
us
I
in
was
mind.
up here, she asked a question, I said the same thing, and I thought, well,
I just.
I could say it again if I needed to, but thank you for doing that.
I just looked at all your scholarship stuff and I don't see that in there.
Yeah.
Education.
Oh, my scholarships. I don't even know what scholarships I got.
No, I just don't see that you're gonna go into education.
Oh, yes, I am not going. That is for my mom. My mom is an educator.
Yes.
She's great at it.
Yes, great.
Many have said that in the beginning.
That's true.
I don't know what I would do with my biomedical engineering degree if I just decided, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, CT.
I see director,
Yeah?
Yeah.
what I see.
Hey, I plan to be a boss. Okay? That's the plan,
School board director right there, in training.
And just real quick, I wanted to commend Steve on the report and all the hard work that went into this. And as Michaela was talking, I had a little light bulb go off, and I'm not sure where I heard it before. I don't know if I heard it from Steve or Aaron or one of our WASDA conferences, but it was talking about why aren't the students learning, why aren't they coming ready, and you know what's missing. And we are turning that to what I heard was, are we ready for them? And so that's kind of what I heard being explained a little bit, is that we are going to look within and see, you know, kind of what's missing too. And that kind of excites me.
She's gonna take over this.
See? Look at you already on this path. Just saying.
Hey, my head hurts, I gotta think.
Director Rob, I did also have a follow-up question. You said we're going to get an update annually on this, and I was curious if that annual update will include new data?
Yes.
Okay, and so when would the board expect to see the next update? This was really helpful, by the way, and I'm echoing Melissa, thank you very much. When should we expect to see the next update on this?
So the amalgam of the report and the decision is stemmed from the Washington School Improvement Framework. What we are promised headed into next year, we'll talk about this in May at the full-day board retreat, what we believe is in statute, OSPI is supposed to have the data collated by September. We believe you can expect, and we can expect to see the update in October of next year, which is both the proficiency element, so how do kids score by grade, and then what are the growth elements and how does that disaggregate by subgroup? Because it's all those components together that comprise the Washington School Improvement Framework. So we think, and we're going to propose to you in the board calendar that we have it in October. Keep in mind, this year and last year, we were also shared with October as that key time frame, and this year didn't come till March. But we believe because of that delay and the gap year in COVID will now be gone, and they'll have 3 continuous years, that the latest information we have is October.
Okay.
So that'll be on your report or your board calendar, and we'll discuss that further at the retreat.
Perfect.
And let me clarify that the annual versus the cycle reporting, so let's use a non-example to clarify that. Let's say at this next fall, we find out that OES has been identified below the threshold in an area. That would just be for information. They wouldn't be identified for support, they wouldn't be identified for anything, because it's in the middle of a cycle. But that would be information that we would have and our principals would have to use, so that when that cycle comes in 2020, what did I say, 27?
Yeah.
2027, that hopefully they wouldn't be identified by that time. So
Okay.
those are the two different ways that they're looked at. One has teeth to it and some stuff tied to it, and one's just really for our information to see how people are doing.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. All right, next item is our consent agenda. I will take a motion.
I have a motion to approve items 1 through 7 on the consent agenda.
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have a few board action items. The first one is presented by Director Christensen.
Good evening. Just wanted to come before you this evening to ask for your consideration and approval of our ability in human resources under the direction of Superintendent Hatzenbuehler to be able to issue our annual contracts for administrators and certificated staff.
Thank you. I believe there's any questions? Then
Move to approve the offering of the 24-25 school year contracts to all administrators and certificated personnel who are covered by the continuing employment contract law.
Second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This next resolution involves our WIAA resolution and representative. And our current WIAA board representative is Director Tracy.
And I will just have to say that I was looking at what I'm supposed to be receiving and I'm not getting any of it. And I don't know where to get it. I have to call someone or something. It's not from Tyler, it's
From the WIAA.
yeah, and so I'm not sure how I do that, so
Okay.
I was just looking, when I was looking through it, I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
We need help on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. So first item, we need to select our WIAA representative. I'd like to nominate Joanne Tracy to continue in this role.
I don't know, it's a lot of work. Takes a lot of my time, though. Yeah.
Further nominations? Okay, then I need a motion.
I move to approve Director Tracy as the 24-25 WIAA board member representative.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And the next motion is our resolution to continue being a part of the WIAA. And involve,
Move, doesn't have anything to do with the interscholastic activities report, right?
okay, we're doing that first.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I think before you wrap up.
Okay. I was ahead of myself, I apologize for that. But congratulations, Joanne. All right, we'll come back to the second resolution, but before we do, Mr. Polly has been quite patient with us all meeting, so I'd like to invite him to the podium and share with us about the interscholastic activities.
Good evening, everyone. So I've never done this before, so I'm doing it for the first time. I gave you guys your report, the number about interscholastic activities and athletics. You guys had one question that you brought back to me about participation of managers being counted and things like that. I did want to celebrate that question, the answer to that question, because although we do have female participants in middle school football, right, as managers, we also have one female participant on the football team, which is pretty cool. We had our first football game today for the middle school, and she was a part of that, so it was pretty cool. So I'm just going to get into it. So I think the first celebration about athletics that I've seen this year is that between last year and this year, we've closed the gap in participation of athletes between female and male athletes. So we're always in athletics looking at Title IX, making sure that we're looking at disparities between, whether it be in teams or in participants. And we're happy to say that we're closing that gap. I've only been here for a year, so I don't get a whole lot of credit for that. That comes from the athletic directors that came before me, and I want to continue that. So the plan would be in the future to see even closer closing of the gap between those participants. I can celebrate some other stuff as we get down through, and I'll come back to that. But the next thing I want to celebrate is a partnership between Ording Athletics and the City of Ording. The City of Ording and the middle school share Gratzer Field. We have an agreement with the city to use Gratzer Field as a baseball field for middle school baseball. And our middle school baseball players go from middle school down the street to Gratzer Field, and they play all their practices, all their games there. And it's a great partnership with the city. We were able to, this spring, take that partnership to another level and include C-team baseball games at Gratzer Field. So we haven't had a C-team baseball team at high school for a while, and trying to find, we know facilities is difficult, so I called up the city and was able to get our C-team baseball teams playing there. So that was pretty cool. We need to make sure and celebrate them and thank them for that partnership. When I talk about sports in all, understand that we're in the middle of spring season, so I don't have any results of the spring sports season, but up to date, we've had 8 teams that have participated in the state championships at different levels, whether it be a 3-time state championship wrestling team, which you guys acknowledged at the last board meeting, which was awesome. A 2nd team participant in girls wrestling, which the team that beat us is a 1A school, so we scored higher. We were the highest scoring 2A girls wrestling team. Even though they don't qualify, they put 1B, 2B, 1A, and 2A all together in one category. So that was pretty cool. Our football team finished in the quarterfinals, and I could go on, but we've had 8 participants so far this year in the state championships. We've had three coaches of the year for the SPSL. So our coaches are doing a good job. They're being recognized by their peers for coaches of the year. I don't know if I can give you the names of those if you want. So 3 coaches of the year and 1 coaching staff of the year in the SPSL.
Is that this year?
That's this year so far.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just going to give you the names. So, because it's a great celebration, right? So Andy McCarthy is our golf coach, both girls and boys golf coach. He was selected coach of the year for the SPSL. Brandon Peters in girls soccer was selected as coach of the year. And Shay Almo was selected as coach of the year for girls wrestling. Our boys wrestling team didn't get coach of the year, but they have a category that other sports don't have. They have coaching staff of the year, which when I talked to Jody about that, our boys wrestling team got coaching staff of the year, and he takes more pride in that category than the accolades for himself, which is really great. That tells you just a little bit about our boys wrestling team. We've had 27 individual state championship participants. So that includes all of our wrestlers, as well as golf participants, cross-country participants, and things like that. So 27 individual, and placing as high as state championship, all the way at, in just participating as state. The next thing I'd like to celebrate is our co-ops. We have 2 co-ops that we engage in. The first co-op is equestrian. So we have an equestrian team that we have here in Orting, and we co-op with White River. So we have athletes that don't participate in regular athletics, but in equestrian, and they share facilities and coach with White River. It's pretty great. And then we also entered into a co-op this year, which I'm super proud about because I had something to do with that one. We entered into a co-op with Sumner High School for gymnastics. So we had 2 gymnasts that participated with the female gymnastics team in Sumner. Both of them went to the state championships, and I went and watched, and it was actually pretty cool. So I've never been to a gymnastics competition or meet, and I went to a couple of them during the regular season, and then went and watched the state championships. I'd like to celebrate the amount of participants in athletics at the middle school. The numbers of athletes at the middle school continues to grow. And in my report, you saw that you guys have the numbers. But just to highlight a couple of things, we're increasing the numbers of teams, and that tells you about the participants. So in boys athletics at the middle school, we increased to 3 boys soccer teams, 4 boys basketball teams, 5 boys basketball teams, and 4 boys baseball teams. On the girls' side, 3 fast pitch teams, 4 basketball teams, 4 soccer teams, and right now we currently have 10 volleyball teams. Because we have 120 volleyball players at the middle school right now.
It seems like start operating as like our own little league.
They could, yes, they could round robin with themselves and play all of the games they needed. Our varsity and JV play their regular middle school league schedule, and then our coaches and our athletic coordinator at the middle school have done a really great job of organizing enough C team games, because you only have varsity, JV, and then C. We currently have 8 C teams. And so getting games scheduled with other schools and scrimmages is a great celebration. That's a lot of work that they put in, both the coaches and the athletic coordinator at the middle school.
And where do they all practice?
Yeah.
Every little corner of the home.
We have them everywhere. We have the middle school gym, the middle school ox gym, and then we have them jogging over as a warm-up to the high school, using the high school gym, and places like that. We did the same thing for soccer team, both boys and girls soccer. They did their warm-up at the middle school by running to the high school and practicing down on the lower fields down below the high school, inside the old track and back there. So facilities continue to be an obstacle or a challenge for us, but we're trying to make the best of it that we can. We're growing the number of coaches. If you have 10 volleyball teams, we're increasing the number of coaches so that we can get kids the individual instruction in athletics that they need so that they get the best experience. Right? That was one of the things that when I came into this position, I want to make sure that we're growing successful programs and providing kids with excellent experiences. Things that they'll talk about when they leave, memories that they make that they think about for the rest of their lives, and putting the right people with them is always a challenge, and I think we're doing a good job. And then the last one, this has to do more with coaches, and I saved those for the last, but our coaches use more professional development money this year than they've used in years past. One of those things, because the WIAA increased their certifications and what it is they have to do, but by using it, now they're like, oh, it's easy. It's not quite as hard. It's not as cumbersome as I thought it was. And so they're choosing to go to clinics. We had coaches that went to PLU clinics. They went to University of Washington. And they've gone to other places, not just the Glazer clinics and things like that, but actually having college coaches talk to them. We had last spring, we had a high school coach that designed and developed the offense that our football team uses. He came to Oregon and taught our coaches how to implement his system, which is pretty cool. We just got all of our track coaches certified in pole vault. So now any one of our track coaches can supervise that event. In the past, we've only had one coach that was certified, and now we have all of our coaches certified to see that. So that kind of wraps up all of my celebrations. Do you guys have any questions for me?
This is the most detailed athletic report I've received since being a director, and so I want to say thank you. I'm very appreciative of it, and it tells an interesting story about the success of our district, the hard work and dedication of staff and coaches and you to make this possible for our students. So I think it's important to recognize that. I would love to see and look forward to seeing like a year recap, like when we get through the spring sports, what does it look like at the end of the year for Orting? Because we've got a real successful pattern here that's repeating itself year over year, and I'd love to see that continue.
Yeah.
I have to say that I am at every sport, of course, and I see you interacting so much. It's like I was telling someone that I'm at the basketball game and I'm like looking over and you're coaching with the coach, and I'm like, why is Tyler over there coaching? And it's like you're just everywhere all the time. Everywhere I go, you're there, and I really appreciate all your hard work because you're always somewhere, and that's a lot of time and work, and you put in a lot of time, and you're doing it. I think personally, you're doing a great job. So.
And to build off of that, Mr. Pollard was actually at the district golf game for me, and he walked a couple holes with me, and I think that's probably the most I've ever talked with him, because I've never had you as a teacher. And it was really cool, because I think as a girl golfer, I mean, it's McCarthy, and so he's got to bounce around everyone, and so it's like sometimes you don't see him, and so have that extra person there to like walk with you and talk with you is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
I just wanted to say, I think it's, and obviously it's WIAA that's doing too, but that we're getting our coaches and sending them to clinics to improve them. So that's amazing to see that, that time and effort's going into them, not just pouring into athletes. We're like, hey, let's raise the bar on everybody. So, yeah.
The only thing I'm a little worried about is I hope we don't run out of, we add too many sports that we don't have enough athletes to fit in every single one of them. And because I'm looking at the baseball and I'm like, I'm wondering where some of them are, and they're at lacrosse, or, it's hard to keep that when you've got a smaller district with all the different sports. But it's good that kids have the opportunity to choose what they want to play.
Yeah.
I want to say a quick little side note when it comes to athletics. Athletics, I think, sometimes gets a bad rap in the education world because I think you just are raising a bunch of jocks that all they want to do is play sports, right? And I'm here to say that athletics does a whole lot more for the individual student than playing a game. And it teaches these kids some real leadership skills that they go on and use in their real life. And my daughter is a walking, talking representative of that. So sports in schools, I'm all about it, so it's awesome.
I wish I had I didn't bring the GPA data with me, but from memory, we've had multiple teams that have competed for state championship academically, whether it be the golf team, the girls competitive cheerleading team, which is part of one of those state participants. Our boys wrestling team competed for state championship in academic. So you take your varsity athletes and you calculate your average GPA for your varsity team and put that up against other schools. Our bowling team did really well. I think they finished 5th academically. And so at the end of the year report where I summarize athletics, which by the way, right now is 4 pages long with all the accolades, not including spring sports. I'll have the academic on there, and I'll be able to tell you exactly which sports competed for that academic championship, having a higher than a 3.5 GPA. Yeah, and that is coming, so, I'm sorry, I don't have those with me today.
I so agree with you. I mean, I'm a sports nut anyway, I love sports, but I look at one student, I'm just gonna say, I'll just say his first name, but I look at Sam, and I had him in middle school, and I thought, I was worried about him a little, you know, and he got this love for basketball, and he went all through high school and played basketball, and now he's playing at a community college, and that did that for him. I know that did that for him. It gave him a purpose and wanting to go to school and wanting to do, you know, get grades, and so it's really important. It's really important.
The last thing that I'd like to say is that I really appreciate the partnership that I've been able to build with our transportation department. The majority, which I didn't realize till I got in this position, a majority of our athletic budget goes to transportation. So the communication that I have to have with our transportation department to make sure that we have buses to get kids to and from games over spring break, over Christmas holiday, over the holiday breaks of Thanksgiving and things like that can be a challenge. And our transportation department, Megan, is amazing. And she does a great job of organizing those and making sure we have buses ready to go. And my partnership with Beth Beltry, who's in facilities, making sure that our facilities are ready to go. Curtis and I go in maintenance. And facilities is just, there's a lot of pieces that people don't recognize go into athletics. And the partnerships that I've been able to create with those employees, those departments here have been really, really good, really powerful. And they make those excellent experiences for kids. Whether it's, you know, Larry Barber lining the softball and baseball fields before the game, or Christian setting up the football games, setting up for football games, or, you know, all of those pieces to making sure that there's toilet paper and paper towels in the bathrooms during football games and things like that. It's really amazing.
And
So
we don't
all of
really
those
have our
people.
hands full when we have electric buses.
I know if Kathy were here tonight, she would be very grateful that you called out the transportation department, so.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you very much for your job.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Thank you. We tried really hard this year to upgrade some of the facilities. As you're scrambling to keep all of this moving in a forward direction, please let us know what we can do to support you too.
Okay.
It's important to our kids, it's important to us, so.
Do you want to go right now? 'Cause- No, that'll come later.
You have a microphone.
No, that's okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I would like to hear a motion for WIAA resolution.
I move to approve resolution number 4.2023-2024, Washington Interscholastic Activities Association.
Second it?
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And again, congratulations, Jordan.
Once we're done.
No, I'm a little messy, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, Director Rab, High Top Program.
Yeah, I'll start where Tyler left off. He did a nice job of recognizing all the support to make that happen. But the interscholastic report's actually under my name, and he did a great job. I mean, his first year doing it, and I said, hey, here's what we need, and blah, blah, he goes, yeah, work on it, I'll get back to you. Then we met, and he showed me what he had, and I go, dude, this is a step up. This is good, it's good. Yeah, thank you, Tyler, really, really well done. The highly capable program is coming to you at this point in the year is a little bit unusual. Normally that's a fall thing. But because they were transferring the grant from one vehicle to another, they allowed us to get our grant money by me answering a couple of promissory questions like, will you do it this way, will you do it that way? Yes, we will. And then after the first of the year, they came out with the actual survey that was for the grant, and I've attached, it's hard to decipher because how do you make a paper copy out of an online process. But it shows you what the questions were and how we answered them and stuff like that. And then we updated the highly capable program plan, and that was also uploaded for you. Bonnie, we don't have the PowerPoint loaded up, do we? No, not at this point. That's okay, let's just see. Let's see what I can remember. So you also have a quick presentation on there, and really what I just wanted to do with that was just take a minute and just kind of make a couple of highlights for you. So some of the pieces, as you had a chance to see that presentation, some of the pieces that are the same of when we screen kids, how we identify them and such like that. But one of the changes, a couple of changes that we made that I wanted to highlight was in our attempt to be more equitable and use that as a position that we hold. We even take the screening process now, and my MDT team, which is my highly capable building program leads, we get together, and usually the cutoff for screening. So the screening process is all second graders, all fifth graders, and we screen all of these kids. And if they get a 90 or better on this, then they go on to the full COGET test. Well, what we did with those kids is we took all of those kids and we looked at those, and anybody that was between an 80 and a 90, anybody that was between an 80 and a 90, we, did we get it?
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So how we identify kids, we still do all this, but what we are doing now in terms of this cutoff is we added another layer, which is we're looking at the kids that are 80 to 90%, and we're using more data points to try to assess whether, because this is their one chance at a particular grade level to qualify, make sure that they did just have a bad test day. So we look at their reading level, we look at their, we talk at elementary, we talk to their teacher about their math, and then at the secondary level, or at the fifth grade level, we look at the ELA, math, and SBA scores. So we take that next level, because what that means is if they had a low COGET score, but they're really actually in the classroom performing at a higher level, we push them forward to take the full COGET test. And then so they would do that. You can see what our numbers look like over time, and the asterisks up there, in 2018-19 was when the law changed. We used to, when I first came, you had to qualify in both ELA and math to get qualified for highly capable, and that changed. So you can qualify for one or the other, you don't have to qualify for both. And you kind of see the dip that we had right there around when COVID hit and whatnot, and we're climbing our way back up. So our goals are really, these are multi-year goals that we're working on. Try to increase the knowledge and understanding and skills of staff assigned to teach highly capable students. And we're using our building HiCap coordinators to do that. The misunderstanding about highly capable, and I think we talked about this one year, was they think it's just, kids are just smart, right? And we have smarter kids that aren't highly capable, that aren't qualified for highly capable. It's not just about intelligence, it's about the way they learn. Oftentimes they can come across as awkward socially and a little bit odd in terms of the way they see the world, but they're the ones that create Tesla in the end, right? And so we're trying to develop an understanding of the teachers that have these kids in clusters, and then we're also trying to, in a small district, the challenge that we have is creating a program for highly capable kids. When up on the hill and down the highway, you're a large enough district where you actually have pull-out programs for these kids. We don't have enough kids to fund something like that. So we try to do it within the classroom. So that's that part of that first goal, is to educate teachers as to what that looks like. But then also create some opportunities for kids that are unique because of who they are and what they can do. So our PTR building HiCap coordinators, they're doing some work around training teachers. That's also happening at the high school with Emily Martin and Shelley Smith. And we're also trying to look at opportunities. We've been spending this year thinking about different things that we can do for kids that give them a sense of identification, and something that would be really engaging and enriching for them. One of the things that we are developing are these learning profiles for kids, which give teachers the kind of information that they need to say, this is how this kid thinks, and this is some different things you can do to create an enrichment opportunity for them. And then the funds that we receive for the HICAP grant, we use them for staff stipends. So we have 2 building coordinators at PTR, we have 3 at the middle school, and 2 at the high school, and 1 at OES. And these people are stipended to work within the building, to identify these kids, work on the student profile plans, educate teachers, provide input and support to families. I meet with them 3-4 times a year. We also use it for professional development costs for teachers. There's professional learning that happens in the fall. There's a summer conference that's a highly capable summer conference in Boise, Idaho. It's really well known. And so we make some of these opportunities available for people to grow. And then we also use it for administrative program costs, like we pay for part of our assessment coordinator position.
Does the program for highly capable separate them from the regular classroom, or are they doing regular classroom work as well as doing the program?
Yeah, they're doing regular classroom work, and what we're trying to help teachers do is to differentiate that work.
Okay.
So, for example, I'll give you an example of a 5th grade classroom, and Ms. O'Donovich, which was, kids were writing a story, and when I was looking at one of the kids' paper, I was looking at what looked like hieroglyphics.
Okay.
There were symbols. And I said, what's that? And he read it to me. And so later found out that he's a HICAP kid, right? So he just sees the world different, he thinks through it, he changed letters for symbols. I don't know what kind of job that's going to get him at this point, but it did illustrate. And then Superintendent Hatzenbeeler and myself, when we went to the PTR presentation that we had, because we went through all the rounds, do you remember the one kid in the math talk?
Yeah.
He was doing
2 to the 12th power.
mentally,
Yeah.
in his head.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay. But so our challenge in a larger system, they do pull these kids and they put them in and they tailor that program for what it looks like. We don't have something like that. So we try to work with the teachers to differentiate those opportunities for kids. One of the things that we talked about as an opportunity is, and we'll probably do that here before this year because I believe the middle school and one of the elementaries is considering this, is actually pulling these kids for a couple hours at a point in a day and doing some kind of a project for them. Something like that, that isn't a daily thing for them, but it does recognize them for who they are and gives them an opportunity to do some things and activities and learn in ways that fit their kind of strengths.
Right, and I'm honestly kind of glad that we don't pull them and make them do a different program, because I think, like you said, they are the kids that are very academically strong, but socially may fall under. And I think that keeping them in a classroom with kids that have those types of interactions, because it's something to be said about a kid that's smart, but it's also something to be said about a kid that can also, communicate with their peers. And so I think it's really important that, even though they have this mentality for higher learning, to keep them in a group with students that don't have that as well, just to get that communication and that social aspect to it, because I think you do need to adhere to their strengths, but also you have to uplift their weaknesses as well, because sure they're going to be a smart kid, but it's not going to get them very far if they can't communicate in an interview or
So
communicate.
you mentioned earlier about the social emotional aspect of academic achievement, and we know with some of these kids, some of them are when they're younger and they're highly capable and they're socially awkward, they don't know they're socially awkward.
Right.
They just know that kids just treat them a little bit differently, and then eventually they get a little bit later into elementary and middle school, and then they feel like the oddball out. And so when we talk about kind of pulling these kids and doing some opportunities with them, one of the things that we press into is that social emotional aspect.
Okay.
Is for them to kind of help identify how that they do learn different, that they do think different, they do see the world different. And you know what? That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mentioned Tesla, there's lots of examples of of individuals like that. And they really do kind of make the world turn in ways that other people don't. So that's part of that program, if you will, that we want to work with them, is to get them to identify that, recognize that it's okay, but then also kind of give them some skill sets
Right.
so that they can actually,
So
you
they
know,
can go back to
Yeah.
their peers and be
Yeah.
okay with the fact that they're learning at a different
yeah.
level. Okay.
The high cap plan is also attached. What I need from the board of directors is to approve the plan for the 23-24 school year, and then I will upload the minutes from the board meeting to OSPI as a kind of a final step to that process. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd have to say, Steve, I like the idea of pulling them out and working on their social emotional. I think that's a good, I think that's a good, really good thing.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Winner. Any questions, follow-up? Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the district's highly capable plan for 24-25.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And we've made it to board comments.
I just want to say shout out to Michaela. Just it's just awesome to watch you interact and ask the questions and stick with that. Don't ever let anybody, not encourage you to do that, because you're very smart and you ask great questions and you follow up, and that's just awesome to see.
Well, thank you. I do
Yeah.
appreciate that, like, even Mr. Rabb brought up, like, our conversation that we had earlier, and that, like, I know I'm 18 years old, sometimes I say, but, like, I appreciate that, like, what I'm saying is taken into effect as well, that is being put out there, and it's being taken into consideration.
If you ever find yourself around people who don't listen to you, leave.
I don't.
They're not worthy.
I just wanted to make a comment. One of our big things as a board is our community connections and our connection. It's just everywhere. And tonight, I don't think it could have been any more there in your face with all of the people that came to support the student with his actions. And I'm horrible because I didn't write down his name. Colton, thank you, Colton. It's just, the connections that we have with our school district and our community is really coming about in real big ways. You heard Mr. Colley talk about it with what he's doing with the city to get space for the kids, and we hear it all the time with our superintendents. And I just want to really say that great work, Boarding School District.
Yeah, seeing Jerry here tonight, I didn't realize he was here as Colton's bus driver since Colton was a kindergartner to support him. Like, that just says so much about the team we have working here, so shout out to Jerry for that. I want to again invite the community to the Cultural Unity Fair on May 2nd at 5 p.m. I think, to echo what you said, Melissa, we're really working hard to bring the community in to our schools and our district. And I just want to applaud that effort. It's happening throughout the district.
I feel like I'm just coming back, so I mean, of course, I loved Tyler's presentation. I think he's doing a great job. Steve always does a great job. It's been good, so.
Yeah. And a plug to follow our schools on social media, because if you want to support all these kids in all of these games, in all of these teams, I I do, as I've been in athletics too here in Ording with my kids, there's always community members in the audience. It's not always just parents and grandparents. And I hope that that continues forever. Okay. Any other insights?
I will have to say, you know, I'm excited to hear about Brandon. We've been working really hard to get a camera so we can video the players and see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And he was so good at sending me kids every football game to work there so that we could make money from the Lions Club to get the camera. He always had a list for me, and he ended up getting enough money, so we just ordered it, and so that's a really cool thing. And so then he comes up to me last night, okay, this is what we're doing. We're gonna do a father-daughter dance on Father's Day. I'm like, oh, wow. So I was pretty excited about it. So.
Very cool. All right, we're all set? And with that, we'll adjourn to next meeting at 7:32. Thank you, everybody.